another movie that gets romantic in the last half an hour. I I mean I had seen Bambi as a kid multiple times. Like
Hmm.
it was a VHS. It was in we had the clamshell growing up.
Yeah.
But I hadn't watched it in 20 years easily, I feel like.
Yeah. Same. I watched it. I'm pretty sure I watched it, but it was so long ago that I really have
Right.
no
And I was
memory.
like, oh yeah, Bambi. Bambi's like a swell picture, whatever, deer in the woods, sad. And I think Bambi kind of rules. Like I watched this
Nice.
movie and I was like, does Bambi rule? Is Bambi just like a really kick-ass movie?
I wouldn't argue with you on that point. Like it is
I think people
a really
remember
different and interesting
two
movie.
things in this movie. People
Yes.
remember the death of Bambi's mother, which is heartbreaking, and people remember the like very early scenes of young Bambi like experiencing the world for the first time and sort of like learning to speak and talking to birds and things.
Yes.
People do not remember the Bambi fighting a pack of wild dogs, hunting dogs, and like having a like expressionistic fight with another male deer and like
Hmm.
getting chucked off a mountain. There's a lot in this movie I did not remember being in the movie, I guess.
Yeah, I think that because this movie isn't very plotty,
Hmm.
I think a lot of people forget about the things. This movie is just a bunch of stuff happening, and
Sure.
normally I would mean that as an insult, but I don't mean it here.
Yeah. It
Like, a-
I think
and
it
so it's
being animated works. It works better as a less plotty movie because it's animated and it is like you're just seeing stuff happening and you're like, this is gorgeous. Look at what
yeah,
is happening on screen right now.
yeah. So what's your angle on the kick assness of
I
Bambi?
mean, it looks incredible. Like the animation in this movie is like eye meltingly gorgeous, I think. Which,
Hmm.
yeah, again, like I remember this being, a very well animated, like good, colorful movie. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I maybe it's also the fact that it's like I'm seeing a like really pristine restoration on Disney Plus that is like very colorful, very bright. Um,
It looked a little DNR'd to me, but
It probably was. But I think by and large, like you can see, especially in the backgrounds, you can see the painterliness of them.
yeah.
I think this movie's more expressionistic than I remembered it being. That was a big one where it's like it is really playing not necessarily with like different animation styles, but I was reminded more of Into the Spider-Verse watching Bambi than I thought it would be. It
Yeah,
doesn't go
yeah.
nearly that far, like not even close, obviously, but it
Well,
is like
because
it's doing a lot more with like abstract shapes and colors and things like that than I thought it would,
because
or
this
I remembered
movie,
it doing.
apart from a couple of specific moments that use kind of expressionistic imagery to get feelings across, like, and that all happens when Bambi's an adult.
There's a little bit of earlier on, but yeah, most of it's like in the last 30-40 minutes of the movie. Yeah.
And like, so the beginning of this movie especially, but the movie in general, is so obsessed with reality. It is like, this movie took an extra long time to make because they wanted to, like, they were like, we can't crack the deer animation. We need the
Hmm.
deer animation to look so real, and like, we need to like put this on the back burner for a little while we like hone our skills, basically, in order to do Bambi. It was, I believe it was supposed to be the first movie that they were going to do. So like, there are so many things that this movie is just like obsessed with, like minute details of textures in the forest
Mm,
and
hmm.
like the motion of limbs, like the animal like anatomy. Like, this movie is like so much about like the physical anatomy of animals.
But it is also it's blending really recognizable physical anatomy of animals with really recognizable human expression.
It draws like a really good line between like,
Threads that needle so well. Like the
yeah,
way in which it is
yeah,
like I fully recognize that this is like animal behavior and let yet is it is being sort of anthropomorphized, to use a big
Just enough.
word.
Just
Right. But
enough.
it's like the way that the owl kind of shifts weight in the beginning, and just like, the like Thumper's expression when he's like talking to his mom versus talking to Bambi, like whole body language shift, but it's like still looks like a rabbit, and it's like just the little nose twitching in the rabbits, the
Yeah.
the way that any of the deer move and walk, and yet it's like they feel like real characters. Their facial animation still feels very reminiscent of human expression.
Yeah, it's not just in character design, but in movement, like you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Like they are just human enough in order for us to recognize their emotions clearly and project our emotions onto them clearly. But compared to a lot of other animated animal movies, there's like a more of a realism to these.
Hmm.
Like, and so much more, like I was saying with the an animal anatomy, so much more of just like scenes that really are just all about these animals moving, like Bambi on the ice, right?
Right.
Where like there's not much to that scene except like watch the way the muscles inside of this deer
No, no,
move
but it is
in kind
like,
of like a funny way,
but
right?
it's becoming kind of, there's a bit of like kind of dance in there too. It feels like the closest thing I would compare that scene to is like a dance scene, even though it is
Hmm.
like animals trying to walk on ice. But it has that kind of like, you know, there's there's communication happening between them that is nonverbal. There's like, we see, it's revealing personality of both of them. Like, we're getting a fuller sense of both those characters purely about just how they're walking on ice. And yet it is also like, I believe that that's a deer and a rabbit.
Yeah.
That's how I would imagine they
um
would dance on ice.
and like the one of the other kind of humanoid aspects of them is that like maybe this is the first anime, right? Like Bambi's eyes are so anime in this movie.
When
um
was the actual first anime? Because did we pass it?
I know it's like 1903 or something like that.
Did we
If you
cover
want
it
to
on the
talk about like
show?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. Yeah,
But I mean the first anime so like
the first big
this.
ol' eyeballs.
Yeah, I mean, Osamu Tezuka is known as the godfather of anime. He basically single-handedly created the anime visual style.
Hmm.
But Osamu Tezuka was he was like riffing off of Disney.
Hmm.
His style was his own evolution on the Disney house style. And then like the anime look is an evolution on Osamu Tezuka's look.
Do you know if Bambi was ever cited as like a direct inspiration for that, or is that kind of conjecture just based on how the facial animation looks in Bambi?
It is
I
conjecture,
mean, it
but I
makes
will
sense.
say that
I can definitely see it.
it's conjecture in that like I bet if I looked into it I would find
Hmm.
something, but like
Right.
I was just noticing Bambi's eyes and looking like anime eyes, and I was like, I see it. It's real.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that like Osamu Tezuka was like basically he was like super into Disney. He was a
Hmm.
big Disney adult, Osamu Tezuka. But like he super like in awe and respect of the Disney style of animation and cartooning. And there's been this kind of mutual back and forth and everything. Like Osamu Tezuka like made manga that involved animals that had big anime eyes like Bambi. He made in I think the 50s or 60s. It was a manga called Kimba the White Lion, which
Mm.
was then retaken back into Disney
Yeah.
as they stole a lot of it for Lion King. I just read Osamu Tezuka's 4,000 page manga biography of
Oh shit.
Buddha, and it is so good. It was so
Damn.
so good.
Incredible.
I was like, am I a Buddhist now? But it was a really good. It's a really good manga. But anyway, I guess one other thing that I want to say about like the kind of like the realism cartooning part of it is
Mm.
that I touched on earlier was the way the forest is depicted,
Mhm.
uh, the way nature is depicted in this movie. Um, and like you see like raindrops falling on leaves. The rain scene is so beautiful,
Mm.
and like the texture of bark and grass and the way it moves in the wind and all the stuff. It's like it's all like such careful observation, and
Yeah.
it's not using cartooning. Sometimes it is, but like its premise doesn't seem to be using cartooning to like alter reality as much as like depict reality in a very constrained and controlled way.
I mean, it's funny because I feel like my my takeaway from this movie was I don't disagree with that, but I feel like my takeaway with this movie was how kind of like painterly it is and how much it is.
Hmm.
It isn't right. It isn't that abstracted. It's like it's very, very well observed with all of it, like with the textures, with the movement of everything, of like every leaf, every animal. But it is like it feels like it is using animation the way that I don't know. I feel like animation ought to be used, which is to sort of like create this heightened version of something. Like
Yeah,
I know Disney has threatened to remake this movie as one of their like weird CGI like photoreal remakes, and I'm like, why would you do this to Like Bambi is perfect as
he's
is,
already been through enough.
right? Like, but what could you possibly get out of like a literal photoreal CGI deer on the ice?
Oh
It would
God.
just it would just be terrible.
You know, I was aware of
The
this, and
eyes would
until
be
you said
so
it,
small.
until you said photoreal CGI deer, I didn't picture it. And now that I've pictured it, I hate it so
Right.
much
It's
more.
like it's just worse in every way. So it's like Disney, if you're listening, Disney the company, Bob Iger, if you're listening to this, please do not remake Bambi as a CGI monstrosity. I have not seen either of the two Lion King movies, but I'm like I have so little interest because I'm just like I don't want to see a realistic looking lion sing a song because lions don't have facial expressions.
I like Jungle Book okay, but I don't know about those other ones.
Yeah.
Uh,
But so I don't know. It's funny how much because you're right. There is like so much realism being put into this movie, and yet it is my biggest takeaway from it was sort of how expressionistic and how painterly and how like animated
mhm,
it was.
mhm.
And just how gorgeous all of that is. Like it's so
Yeah,
well done. A beautiful film. Oh, Bambi. What a also movie is this movie's rated G, and yet it is
doesn't
heartbreaking.
deserve that
It
G.
is heartbreaking. It is scary. It is kind of violent. Sure, there's fights in it. There's no like blood or viscera or anything. Not a lot of death, but I think the death that is in this movie is like you feel it.
Yeah,
I'm not just talking
I
about
mean,
Bambi's mom either, which is like so so heartbreaking, and also so much of it because it is you don't see very much. It's like very restrained,
mhm.
and it's like the just like the finality of it. It's just like, ugh, it's so
Yeah,
sad.
yeah. I think that like this, like Fantasia, is not a movie that's like not kid friendly, quote
Mm.
unquote, but it is a movie that is not real. It doesn't really feel like it's for kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is for kids, but it also doesn't feel like it is. It never feels like it's talking down to the audience, even though it does feel like it is intended for a. I do feel like it is largely intended for. I mean, it's a the proper implementation of a family movie, and that is like young kids. I think can watch this and get a lot out of it.
Considering the number of people who like cannot
Cite this
get
as like
over,
a
like they can't,
heartbreaking, like traumatic
yeah,
experience.
considering the number of people who can't get over Bambi's mom dying in the movie, I don't think that this movie is appropriate for younger children. I think that like the thing that one of the things that's really good about this movie and interesting about this movie is that it confronts death directly.
Mhm.
And it confronts like the trauma of death directly, but it also confronts like the pedestrianness of death directly,
Mm.
and like how like your parents are going to die. And I feel like the reason why this movie scarred so many people is because it might have been their first understanding of an idea that their parents might die,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think that, like, this movie is doing something a bit more mature than what a young child can handle. I think it is treating life and death in this in this way that is um, kind of speaking on, you know, these greater kind of ideas of existing in the world, and it's grappling with them directly in a way that I don't think younger children can handle.
I think it depends on the kid. I don't know. I'm I mean, I don't have children, so I'm, talking kind of out of my ass here. But I do think so many people cite Bambi as a thing that like scarred them as a kid. I feel like a lot of those same people cite this as one of their favorite movies, or like something that inspired them to like get into animation or filmmaking. I think a lot of things that people cite as a like traumatic film experience can sometimes also then be the thing that like ins- that ends up inspiring them later in life or earlier in life. Like,
Sure.
so I mean, I think that kind of thing very much depends on the kid. And I also I'm so opposed to the idea of like talking down to kids, especially like through art, that I think this is a fairly safe way to introduce a young child to the idea of death.
Yes,
Whether or not
yes.
you want to do that is another question, but it is sort of like, I would show them this before I'd show them a lot of other movies that deal with death as directly as this does.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like death is stark in this movie, right?
Mm.
I don't intend on talking down to children or underestimating their capabilities at all. I just think that like
This movie's rated G, and
maybe
maybe this
some parental guidance
maybe
is
put a P in
suggested.
there.
I think that to get onto this like subject of death in the movie, I see a lot of similarity between this movie and Princess Mononoke.
Mm. Oh yeah.
This movie, both of them are kind of like two major kind of themes going on in both of these movies are life and death in nature, and how life and death in nature are things that are unremarkable. They are part of the world. Living and dying are part of the world. The cycle continues. I think it's very notable that in this movie, after Bambi's mom dies, he realizes what happens and then it moves on, right?
Mm.
Like, it does not dwell on his mom dying, which surprised me
It moves
watching
on
this.
remarkably quickly.
It,
Yeah.
yeah, it surprised me because like so many people think about that scene so much, but like it does not fixate on it. It is just
Mm.
like deer's parents die and then they grow up and become bigger deer, right? And uh and then the other kind of theme, obviously, that this and Princess Mononoke share is about like, you know, man versus nature, right?
Yeah.
And specifically like the corruption of nature by men.
It is pretty
um
notable that the only death in this movie comes from guns.
yes.
There are no like Bambi never has to like fight other than the hunting dogs, never has to fight like a predator. There's no like mountain lion or bear. Death is never like circular life. Like, the wolf has to eat also. The wolf has to feed its young. That is never
Yeah.
addressed. There are no
It's
predators in this movie. The only predator is man indiscriminately shooting animals.
Yeah, there's no like kind of uncomfortable Lion King sort of we eat them, it's okay kind of thing.
Yeah, but it is like I think it kind of gets into kind of like the randomness of death also, and that it isn't like
Mhm.
none of the death
Mhm.
in this movie is like feels justified. It always feels shocking and like it is like breaking the natural order of things.
Yeah. Like humans feel like such a corruption on the beauty that
Yeah.
is existing in this world.
They feel like a like
And
humans are like a supernatural like horror in this movie
yeah, you
because
never
because
see
they're
the
unseen.
humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, this movie's also coming from the perspective of a deer, right? A
Yeah.
deer always wants to run away from
Yeah.
people.
There's
And I think
God,
that's like
there's a scene with a pheasant, right? That's like that's
that's
afraid, and it's like
rough. That part's
they keep
rough.
coming closer, and it's like, don't fly, don't fly, don't fly. We'll die if we fly. And that, oh my God, that scene was like
I feel like that scene almost hit harder than Bambi's mom.
Same. I think because it hadn't been like hyped up, like I didn't remember that scene, so I was just like, "Oh my, this is horrifying. This is like really upsetting." Yeah, G-rated movie. What a choice it is never to show humans in this movie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. It's an interesting
what a
choice.
powerful artistic choice to have humanity be this off-screen horrific threat that will just appear seemingly at random and just cause widespread death and destruction.
I think that if they showed humans, it would allow other humans to say, it would allow people watching the movie to say, that's these guys,
Mm,
not this could be us, right?
yes.
I
Yeah.
think that this movie is basically saying, like, what is your responsibility when it comes to treating animals with respect and nature with respect?
Hmm.
Like, and I've apparently a lot of people have become vegetarians after seeing this movie. I
Not
see why.
surprising. Yeah.
But like, uh, also like this movie was the beginning of Bambi was the first animal mascot of "Do Not Start a Forest Fire." Uh,
Mm.
like because
Watching
right
that
like this.
scene today really hit hard.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Disney licensed out Bambi to the Forest Service, I guess it was,
Hmm.
um, uh, to use him as their kind of mascot for anti like be careful about
Yeah.
starting a forest fire stuff. And then when that license ran out, that's when they created Smokey the Bear.
Mm.
Without showing the humans, right? It's like, yes, you could be the one starting this forest fire. You're hurting Bambi. You
Yeah.
could be the one shooting this gun. You're hurting Bambi. Where, like, maybe like a movie like The Fox and the Hound or something like that, which is one of my early childhood favorites. But
Yeah.
like, it has
Oof,
like,
what a movie that is. Talk about
but
heartbreaking.
it has like specific humans, and you're like, oh,
Mhm.
they're the bad ones. They're not me, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a very good point. I hadn't thought about it, I guess that specifically or like in those terms. But yeah, I think there's a real power to not showing them in this movie.
Yeah. They don't even show the guns.
Yeah.
They don't even like have the
Totally off screen.
guns like
Yeah.
point up or at the pheasant or something like that.
Hmm. And I think that makes it scarier. That's like you don't know where they even
Yeah.
are in relation to the
Yeah.
animal. Like it's just
Yeah.
this thing that comes out of nowhere.
It makes the
It is.
humans alien because
Yeah.
like this is like a world where they are
Hmm.
alien to it.
Yeah.
But like along the death stuff, I mean, it's kind of territory we already covered. But like, Princess Mononoke, I think like one of the really beautiful things about that movie is that um, it takes this idea of the naturalness of life and death, and like how the meaninglessness of life and death. And it's like death and life are a part of the same thing. They're a part of nature. Like there is a part of dying that is sad. Just like there's a part of autumn that is sad, but
Mm.
it is like there is no such thing as like like you can perceive it in the moment, but there's no such thing in the scheme of this like unfeeling, beautiful and terrible world, and like beautiful and scary world that like like there's no such thing as being sad about death, right? Like one of my favorite metaphors from Princess Mononoke is the forest god who,
It's a deer.
shares is a deer. He's
I
he's a
deer-like
he
creature, perhaps. Yeah.
yeah, definitely a reference to Bambi. Uh
Do you
but
think it is a direct reference to Bambi, or do you think it is just sort of like, no, this is what we use to represent if you're going to sort of not personify, but you're going to manifest the forest into a single creature.
the prince of the forest in Bambi is like a majestic deer that everybody stops and stares at, and
Mhm.
that is exactly what happens in Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, it
But
is true. Also, even just the way that those scenes are kind of play out are pretty similar. It's true.
But like one of the things that I find the most beautiful in that movie is how this forest god, who is in command of all life and death and is completely apathetic to life and death, but knows that they are interlinked, right? Like every step that it takes on the ground, my favorite image from that movie, every step that it takes on the ground plants grow up out of nothing
Mm.
and then like grow and turn green and then wither and die, and it does it over and over with every step as it touches the ground. It's like life and death all in one, all happening quickly, like instantaneously in this movie. And I think that Princess Mononoke kind of fleshes out these ideas more, where Bambi just kind of like depicts them. I think
Mhm.
it depicts the unfeelingness of life and death in the natural world. And like it is a scary thing, but it's also like a natural thing. There's a beauty to like the experiences of fear that Bambi has. They are real. They're like a part of nature. Uh and that's why it's like such a big idea, and I think it's kind of hard for it might be rough
Yeah.
on a 3-year-old, you know.
I mean, sure, yeah, but yeah, I would show, you know, I right, I think this movie depicts them, but I think it is right. It isn't like really getting into the nitty gritty the way that like Princess Mononoke is. I would not show Princess Mononoke to 3-year-old. That movie is way too intense.
In some ways, I feel like the contextualization of Princess Mononoke kind of makes it an easier watch for
Huh?
younger
Yeah,
kids. But I don't know if like shooting somebody's head off with a bow and arrow, maybe I'm just desensitized and I don't
yeah.
know that that's a big deal.
It can get pretty gory. Yeah, no. Should we talk about the horny parts of Bambi also?
Oh, yes, of course we
I think
should.
that's like kind of the next big sort of theme we should tackle in Bambi is where right after the death of the mother, he meets his absentee dear father, the great prince of the forest,
Hmm.
who's just like your mother is gone, and he's like okay. Hard cut to spring, like all right, springtime. Months later, Bambi is now teen Bambi with
Teen
with
Bambi.
with, with antlers.
They need a Teen Wolf show for
Teen
Teen
Bambi.
Deer. Yeah.
And so yeah, we get teen Bambi, teen Thumper, and teen Flower, which I feel like we need to discuss. Flower is a character where I was like, how gay is Flower supposed to be?
Uh-huh.
Because I
Uh-huh.
certainly read it that way. I don't know if
His
that
name is
is
Flower.
his name is Flower. He's a skunk who seems, very excited when Bambi calls him a flower. I don't know.
Yeah.
I took it that
Also,
way.
I thought that Flower was a girl.
Right. Up
When I was
until up until Teen Flower's introduced with a deep voice, I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
okay. That changes this
it's like
character's relationship quite a bit." Well, maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Because then
This
Flower and then
movie,
immediately well, so the three young forest animals are given a sex talk by the owl, which I thought was very funny. The owl is like,
it's
"Hey,
just
you might meet another animal and feel some feelings."
it's the birds
Um,
talk. There aren't any bees, but
there
it's
are
the
no
birds
bees in this
talk.
movie. It's just the birds talk. It's true.
There's some good like kind of physical comedy that is like the most reality breaking like motion that ever happens in this
Yes.
movie.
Yeah. It's the most kind of Looney Tunes esque
Yeah.
stuff, but very good. Like the spinning
Hmm.
on the branch and like kind of the like walking in midair stuff. I thought
Yeah.
was a lot of fun.
If you don't
Um,
know what we're talking about, just imagine a like all of the possible things that an owl could do to go hubba hubba awooga.
yeah, pretty much. But so then Flower's the first one to meet another skunk, who I definitely think is supposed to be a female skunk.
Yeah.
And so then now I'm starting to question how much, who knows? Maybe Flower's bi. We don't know. We know very little about Flower.
I mean, if you were to recolor that skunk tail into a bi flag, then into those colors, then it would turn into a bi flag. Um, uh, yeah, another thing, like with like gender in this movie, right? Like when I was a kid, I thought that Bambi was a girl. I like
Baby Bambi
because
has the big eyelashes, and
this movie confounds
yeah,
gender understanding in cartoons because boys have eyelashes, and that is not how cartoons work.
it's funny though that how much that is like even I think by 1942 that is like we've established in cartoons
Yeah,
that like female characters
Minnie
have
Minnie
big eyelashes.
has
That's how
a
you can
bow and
tell.
eyelashes. Yeah,
I also thought watching this movie like feminine cartoon animals are always so funny to me because it's like in so many cases, it's like we drew this animal with like cartoonized, right? They have big eyes, they have exaggerated proportions, and then a lady one shows up, and suddenly they have massive
It's like
eyelashes, eyeshadow, and they're going
yeah.
like, "Hello!" They're like sort of like pressing up their imaginary bosoms. They're like the most insanely like feminine looking version of an animal possible.
Fish, and then there's this other fish that's like va 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 voom.
Right. It's always like, wait, whoa. If you had any doubt of the gender of this fish, we're not making it remotely ambiguous. Except in Bambi, right? Because when Bambi is a young deer, what's that called? Fawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the big long lashes too.
You could say something about like maybe like the genderlessness of childhood, right?
Mm.
Before like
Hmm.
like especially if you're talking about like, the I don't know, instincts and hormones and aliens, animals, that like, Bambi only kind of Bambi becomes a man not through this I think is interesting. It is not his mom dying or some kind of moment of plot that turns Bambi into a man. It is incidental, you know?
Mm.
It is just
Hmm.
what happens because as deer get older, they grow antlers and they turn into bucks,
Yeah.
right? And so all of these there's all of these younger animals that have these kind of more ambiguous gender situations.
Mm. Yeah, it's like I wonder how much of this, if any of it, was on the mind of the people making Bambi or not, or if they were just like a bunch of animals. I don't know, but it is certainly in a contemporary context where I feel like we have hopefully a slightly more nuanced understanding of gender. It stands out.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like Flower should have found another male uh, skunk. I think that would have been a better ending for that character.
Maybe in
But
the woke new movie they'll do
you know
that.
what? I would not be surprised. That's maybe the only thing you could do with Bambi that would improve it slightly while ruining all the other good parts of it.
Isn't that just like what they do with those live action Disney movies is they ruin it in every way and
They would imply it, but they wouldn't even like give
right.
Flower an
They
actual like subplot.
they ruin it in every way and then they add like one little sprinkle of thing to say like first Disney movie that has a gay hug and then they cut
Yeah.
it out in China, right?
I would actually say that the character of Flower in original Bambi is about as much representation as gay characters are given in most contemporary Disney movies, where they're like, "Oh, we finally broke the barrier. We have a gay skunk in our movie," and it's like, "Well, not really." Ends up with a lady skunk.
And very within mere moments, I don't know exactly when the debut is, but within years, skunk gender is set 50 years back with Pepe Le Pew.
Oh boy, yeah. There's an essay to be written
skunk
uh
skunk gender is maybe another
about
good
like
title.
gender studies through the prism of cartoon skunks.
I would read it.
Yeah. Some video essayist out there, make it happen.
There's like not a lot relative to every other Disney movie, it feels like there doesn't seem like there's a lot said about this movie online. Like,
I feel like a lot said about this movie in general. I feel like lots of people
yeah.
recognize Bambi. They recognize that Bambi exists, and it's usually in the context of "Wow, so sad when the mom dies."
Hmm.
But I swear, like Bambi as a character doesn't usually get a lot of like I don't know. I don't see Bambi included in a lot of like Disney montages. I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough in like the Disney canon. You
Yeah.
know, especially compared to a lot
Yeah.
of like even this era of Disney movies, like Snow White, Dumbo, like the other ones that we didn't watch Dumbo for the show, but like the kind of first couple years of Disney animated features. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't get a lot of talk.
Everyone knows Bambi, but nobody thinks about Bambi. And
Right.
my advocate, what I say is think about Bambi.
Maybe the last stretch of the movie, I guess we kind of talked about, right? There's like he fights with another buck.
I gotta say also in the part we were just talking about, the bunny that Thumper falls in love with is Lola Bunny colored. uh then
Same
that's
character,
all I
maybe. Well, that
yeah.
was also the point where I was like, cartoon female animals are so funny, like because they always look like this. Also, there is definitely some kind of goofier animation in this. I guess we talked about that with the owl, but like, right, Flower looking of like gets all rigid. I don't know if that's something to
Oh
read
yeah,
into.
that's right. That was it certainly is. But that like that yeah, the kind of like he turned red in this like thermometer way,
Right.
like
Yes.
that is so cartoony in a way that this movie is not in every other way.
Right. It like never happens before or after that. Yeah. But then yeah, there's like the big finale, the big like action set piece of the hunters come back, the attack dogs come out, there's the forest fire that is all just so incredibly well animated and is like
Mhm.
is thrilling.
Scary.
It is scary. Definitely the part of the movie that I remember the least. And yet it ends with, life begins anew. With the following spring, Bambi and what's her name? I just watched this today. This is embarrassing.
Lola Bambi.
No,
Nala.
Nala Bambi.
Mario.
Feline is the female deer that Bambi has children with. So Feline has twins. There's a new generation of deer in the forest. All of the other characters have had children, and we see sort of like almost a passing of the antlers, as it were, from the old great prince of the forest to Bambi, who seemingly now is standing in the same place. He is the new great prince of the forest, as was
Yeah.
foretold in the opening scene when they all said, "A prince has been born."
Yeah, like there's a complete mirror of the beginning of the movie in the end of
Hmm.
the movie. So there's definitely like a cyclical kind of thing
Hmm.
going on here. It's speaking to like the nature of, life's cycles as it
Hmm.
like naturally operates in in nature. But I thought it was interesting how, you don't necessarily feel bad toward Bambi's dad in the movie, but you're kind of like, all right, kind of sucks that he's like just kind of off doing his own thing and not around, like
Right.
he's this like like you feel distant from Bambi's dad.
Hmm.
Um and I don't 100% know about like the who
Deer
deer
life
raise
cycles and yeah.
yeah, like dear familial structures, but
Hmm.
if I am to assume that this movie is accurately representing deer familiar structures, I mean, there would be not dissimilar things in other animals, but like I thought it was interesting how, there is a certain distance that the audience feels from Bambi's dad in the movie because of his kind of distance and lack of presence and all that kind of thing. Um, and so, like, I think in like a typical structure, you would expect Bambi to like break the cycle. You would expect
Right.
Bambi to be like a little bit
More of an active father in his children's
right,
life.
but like he doesn't, and I think that's a really interesting choice. Where like this movie again is not implying our human understandings of things onto the natural world, right?
Hmm.
Like I was watching the YouTuber Big Joel's video essay about Bambi. I didn't actually finish it, but one thing that he said was like this movie is basically like the idea of it is like nature operates on its own rhythm in its own cycles, and the only thing that interrupts those cycles is man, right?
Mm.
There is a harmony to the life and death and patterns of the natural world that is only broken by gunfire and campfire.
Mm.
So, but it's like so weird to me. Like it feels weird because you're watching this movie and you're like, I don't like Bambi's dad, and then Bambi becomes his dad in the end of the movie, and it's not something that it doesn't feel like success.
Hmm.
It it um it feels like you don't once Bambi grows up and becomes the new prince of the forest, you don't see him anymore. You don't see his face anymore. He's just a
Mm,
silhouette in the background,
right.
like the prince was before. He becomes distant, like he was your point of view. You were Bambi, and then like he is like unmade at the end of the movie as he like graduates to adulthood. Like you like he is depersonalized. Uh
Yeah,
which
but it does feel kind of like, I mean, partially just like the physicality of it. He is higher than everyone else. It's like he has ascended to almost like
hmm,
godhood at that point, right? He is the new great prince of the forest. He is the new, Princess Mononoke style keeper of the forest. And that is like that if anything, to me, that I might be getting, maybe too artsy fartsy about this, but like it feels reminiscent of like Greek mythology, where it's like
hmm.
feel like great heroes either die or like ascend to like, become demigods or something, or sort of,
You either live
ascend.
long enough to become a
No,
villain
not
or
Batman, but like they often like sort of ascend to another they go to the Elysian Fields, which is like sort of like heaven, but it's also like a physical place. So it feels a little bit reminiscent of that. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but yeah, it's interesting. I don't have that strong feelings about it. It is but I agree with you where it feels at odds with our what we typically expect from like a Disney animated movie like this, where it's like, oh, we want like the hero to have like a victory, and we want him to have like this feeling of like happily ever after, right? And it's like
yeah.
he's kind of gone now.
Yeah. His victory is that he has been subsumed back into the natural rhythms of nature.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but even like with I don't hate the ending. Like it doesn't feel.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's
Like there's
yeah.
something about it that actually I appreciate how much this movie is sort of both reverential and also kind of like deferential, I guess, to nature. Of like, no, no, like this
Mhm.
this is all working fine the way it is. It's
Yeah.
we are the problem here.
Yeah. But it's not even saying that, right? Like there's like so much of Bambi that is not didactic. It is just like depicting. It is
Mm.
just like there isn't some big screed in Bambi about. I mean, like there's a little bit with what his mom tells him, but it's like it isn't going like men have destroyed the forest with their tractors. Like it's not like Fern Gully or something. You know,
Mm.
it is just like men are scary to deers
Right.
and
Yeah.
like we can bring our own associations and implications from that as
Hmm.
our in our position as men as a
Yeah.
man on a
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. Same. Same. Man, do better. Stop shooting deer.
One last thing I have to say about this is that this kind of blows my mind. It doesn't feel real, and it's possible that it's not, but I
Mm.
did a quick look and it doesn't seem to be. But that the idea of if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all is apparently from this movie. Like when
Hmm.
Thumper is repeating the
Yeah.
lesson that his dad told him. Yeah, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Apparently credited to Thumper. That
Wow.
belongs to Thumper.
Thumper, even more of a legend than I already thought he was.
The legend of Thumper.
Yeah. Damn, that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of nuts. You said you couldn't find any other, like you couldn't find anything to the contrary. So like
I could not
this whole
find I was like there's no way and I was like looking
right.
for things for the contrary and I
Huh.
could not really find anything definite.
Well, I mean, I believe it.